elderly man accidentally knocked over a wine glass and was brutally dragged outside by Nazi soldiers, followed by a severe beating. Meanwhile, the officer calmly continued his meal, tacitly approving the atrocity, while his family sat in fearful silence. That night, the two siblings were still shaken, puzzled by their father's cold indifference. Ever since they moved into this new home, everything around them had been unsettling, leaving Bruno feeling gloomy every day. One day, he accidentally discovered a mysterious farm in the distance from his room and told his father about it. Looking at the phone, I can see my window. His father was slightly surprised, but remarked that the people at the farm were not even human. Shortly afterward, the room's windows were sealed shut. Yet Bruno's curiosity couldn't be suppressed. He was eager to discover what secrets the farm held. One day, a small door in the backyard caught his attention. Summoning his courage, Bruno tried to escape this prison. However, just as he stepped outside, his mother caught him and stopped him in time, forbidding him from approaching the backyard again. That same night, the elderly man who had been punished earlier suddenly appeared, trembling as he placed food down. As he left, Bruno noticed he was wearing the same striped pajamas as the people at the farm. Elsa felt ashamed and humiliated. Over time, Bruno's desire to escape grew stronger, especially as the mysterious farm seemed to constantly call out to him. Sneaking out through the backyard, he found a way through the warehouse and escaped. Once outside, Bruno ran freely like an untamed horse, his spirits unrestrained. But as he crossed a quiet stream, a barbed wire fence blocked his path. Peering through, he spotted a young boy on the farm. Longing for companionship after being lonely for so long, he eagerly tried to connect. Strangely, the boy didn't respond immediately, but looked around to ensure he wasn't being watched. Once he felt safe, he let his guard down. Bruno shared his frustrations, complaining about his boring, idle life, while the boy seemed to have playmates at the farm. Just as the boy, Shmuel, was about to explain, a whistle interrupted them. Without delay, he stood up to leave, weakly pushing a cart, but turned back briefly to bid him goodbye. Despite the brief encounter, Bruno felt content. That afternoon, he asked a soldier to help him build a swing, hoping it would distract him so he could secretly meet Shmuel. Unexpectedly, the soldier glanced at the elderly man, who looked terrified. The soldier ordered the old man to build the swing until Bruno was satisfied. The man fetched a tire from the warehouse, and Bruno nodded approvingly. While playing on the swing, Bruno noticed thick black smoke rising in the sky. Standing on the swing to see more clearly, he lost his balance and fell heavily to the ground. Bruno explained to his mother that the old man had saved him and treated his wounds. Time passed, and Bruno and Shmuel grew closer, sharing stories despite the barbed wire dividing their worlds, one side representing life, the other a living hell. Bruno naively believed the fence was to keep livestock from escaping, unaware it was meant for the Jewish prisoners. He asked Shmuel what the chimneys burned, as the smell was terrible, but Shmuel didn't know. His mother had only warned him never to approach the area. Elsewhere, Elsa stepped out of her car, overwhelmed by a stinging odor. When she asked, the soldiers told her. Elsa finally understood that the foul smell and black smoke were from countless innocent lives. She shuddered in horror, trembling uncontrollably. That night, she confronted her husband, accusing him of inhumanity. He justified his actions, claiming they were for the strength of the nation. After learning the truth, Elsa became increasingly depressed, her mental state deteriorating. The endless arguments between her parents left the siblings feeling helpless. The next day, Bruno visited the farm to lift his spirits. He tossed a ball over the fence, hoping Shmuel would play with him. But Shmuel fearfully returned the ball, aware that such actions were forbidden. For the first time, Bruno realized that both the farm and his home were prisons. That day, many soldiers visited their home to watch a film his father had made. The footage portrayed the farm as a happy, idyllic place, filled with smiling faces. Bruno hugged his father, believing he was doing something great. He excitedly wanted to share this with Shmuel. On his way, he was shocked to find Shmuel in his home, sent by the farm to clean glasses. Bruno offered him a piece of cake, which he devoured hungrily. Just then, a soldier entered. Spotting the cake, he questioned Bruno about knowing the Jewish boy. To avoid punishment, he accused Schmerl of stealing and denied knowing him. Although innocent, Schmerl was punished for his identity. Back at the farm, harsher punishment awaited him. The next day, Bruno tried to apologize, but seeing Schmerl's injuries, he felt too ashamed. Despite this, Schmerl forgave him, extending his small hand as a gesture of reconciliation. However, their time together was cut short when Bruno's father announced the family would leave. Bruno was disheartened, reluctant to leave his newfound friendship. Meanwhile, Schmerl worried for his father, who had been missing for days. Bruno decided to help Schmerl find him before leaving. Together they devised a plan. Bruno would dig a tunnel under the fence. Disguised in striped pajamas, he successfully entered the farm. They smiled at each other, unaware of the horrors ahead. But Bruno quickly regretted it, feeling uneasy about the surroundings. Determined to help Schmerl, he pressed on. Passing a barren field, he was reminded of scenes from a film. As they entered a crowded room, dozens of lifeless people awaited their fate. Soldiers herded everyone into a basement, where rain poured outside. Bruno believed it was just to take shelter, but the soldiers ordered them to strip and shove them into a mysterious room, locking the door. In the pitch darkness, terrified eyes revealed the despair within. Moments later, agonizing screams echoed as gas filled the chamber. Bruno's father arrived at the farm too late, realizing the consequences of his cruelty. His wife collapsed in grief. 2 small uniforms symbolized a tragic era where striped pajamas marked those awaiting death amidst unimaginable suffering.